Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur, more of Bottleham Hotspur. Every time you think about Spurs winning a trophy, it's like something else. They won the Europa League by the worst final in the history. That's a different thing. But yesterday, what the hell was that from Spurs? The game started. Spurs were playing very low level football, a horrible level of football. PSG started dominating them. Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, Doué, Dembele, everybody was absolutely spanking them from everywhere, from the wing, from the midfield, and from the defense. They were playing absolute highline Paris Saint-Germain in the first 10 minutes. But what happened next was something incredible. 45th minute, it was Mickey Van de Ven for Spurs who opened the score sheet. Mickey Van de Ven, the same guy who saved Spurs in the Europa League final by clearing that goal that was in for the other team, Manchester United. After this goal, let me tell you, I swear to God, I was pretty sure that PSG will still win the game and Spurs will still bottle it, because Spurs and trophy is something which is never connected. Winning one Europa League doesn't make you a champion team. That has never made you a champion team. Okay, one goal, Mickey Van de Ven, when he scored, I knew it was a goal that was some kind of counter attack loophole by PSG. They are not gonna do the same mistake. I was wrong. After the half time, Spurs scored again, and now it was Christian Romero from a free kick set piece that goes in. Every time you see PSG conceding goal, it mostly is from set pieces. That is where PSG is weak. And after that, I still didn't think that Spurs is gonna win the game, because PSG were that strong. After going 1-0 up, PSG absolutely blanked out and Spurs scored the second goal, and I think that goal was a defensive tweak by PSG which resulted in that goal. Eventually, when they went 2-0 up, I still thought PSG is in the game. Why did I think that? Because PSG was creating chances. Let me tell you a bit of stats in the game, okay? Possession, 75% possession for PSG. 75. It's not like a game against a Premier League club and a third division team. It is literally Premier League team and a Ligue 1 team. Premier League is the best league in the world. Ligue 1, I don't think it counts even in the top 3 or top 4 leagues in Europe. Possession 75% and 25% for Spurs. 572 passes. That is ridiculous. 196 passes, 572 and 196. I don't remember the last time I read such stats. 90% pass accuracy for PSG and 69% for Spurs. That's a ridiculous number. After all these stats, Spurs were leading till 75th minute. What happened after going 2-0 up is that Spurs tried to become Atletico Madrid simply. They tried to park the bus. Now, parking the bus is like a sword. It can either save you or it can either kill you. So what happened is there was a decisive loophole. A decisive loophole in the defense for Spurs, which resulted in PSG scoring one goal in the 75th minute by Lee Kang-in. Now, what did I remember Arsenal versus Manchester City in Etihad? Before the start of the last season, Arsenal did the same. They parked the bus, and what did Haaland do? Haaland and other players, they started creating that box around the deep, and that really created the pressure on Arsenal. Eventually, we all know what happened. John Stones equalized, and I remember that game, and now this game is exactly carbon copy of that game. PSG, when they played deep, they played an entirely highline game, and that resulted into Spurs getting the pressure. And in the 90th minute, when there were 2 or 3 minutes on the clock left for the game, Dembele is crossed into the box, the future Ballon d'Or winner, and Gonzalo Ramos' header, that goes in, and right there, PSG equalized. That was it. The lead for 75 minutes, and they bottle it. They bottled the lead, 2-0 lead in a final. No Son, no Madison. The two big players in the team are not there. But you still have good players in the team. You have Solanke, you have Tel. Tel was with Bayern last season, okay? You have players like Van de Ven, Christian Romero, and such. Bentancur is such a great player. Why the hell did that happen for Spurs? Now I can do a tactical analysis for that, and that might be the decisive and defensive loophole for Spurs that really resulted in that. And I think that they were too much conservative after scoring 2 goals. If they would have been more attacking, they would have scored more. Maybe they would have scored more, because I don't think PSG's defense yesterday was at their best. And we all know for that half an hour of the extra time, PSG bantered Spurs. No chances for Spurs. PSG was with the ball. Somehow Spurs didn't allow them to score. The game went to penalties. Going into penalties, everybody thought that no, PSG don't have Donnarumma. They have this new goalkeeper called Chevalier, and he let in a ridiculous goal before, so he's in pressure. I personally thought first game for him, a penalty shootout in a European final, he's in pressure, he's in great pressure. But he was cool. First penalty, Vitinha misses. Vitinha misses for PSG. Let me tell you one thing. If a team misses the first penalty, their morale goes from here to here. But it was the European champions. And what happened next was Spurs scored their penalty. Spurs misses 2. Eventually Spurs missed 2. PSG missed just 1. That was 1 from Vitinha, the first penalty. Then they didn't miss any. And that resulted in PSG winning the game. Now I can, differentiate this game into different parts. I can tell you there were parts into this game which were good for Spurs. Of course, when they were leading, they were positive. There was a positive mindset in the game. But what was missing? It was the experience of playing finals. When we talk about PSG, let me talk about the Gonzalo Ramos thing, okay? Gonzalo Ramos played Champions League final, okay? He played the Nations League final before that. He won the league before that. He won the French Cup before that. He played in World Cup before that. He played in UCL semi-final before that. So he knew the pressure. Dembele played in World Cup final. Dembele played in UCL final. Dembele played in Club World Cup final. So they knew what the pressure is. What about the Spurs player? They don't know the spelling of final. They don't know what final is. They just have played one final in their 17 years. 17 years they have played one final, and that is Europa League final. And that final was the most ridiculous final I ever seen. The 17-player Premier League team against the 14-player Premier League team, that was the horrible final. One goal, scratchy goal, won Spurs the trophy, but it was a game where nobody deserved to win. Not even I think the trophy should have been distributed between the two. That was horrible. But yesterday it was bantering from PSG. I think they could have scored many goals, but it was defensive acumen from Spurs in the first half, and then there was defensive loophole by Spurs in the second half. But again, you have to appreciate Spurs because they won the Europa League and now they were here. They lost the game. Now what they are going to do in the Premier League, that's a secondary question. I would also like to talk about Thomas Frank, the new manager. Now, if your first game in your managerial stint is a final, you want to win it, and he was winning it till 75th minute. What was the mistake by Thomas Frank? I think he wasn't the same Thomas Frank we saw in Brentford. Now, let me tell you one thing here. When a manager moves from a small club to a big club, again, I am not saying Spurs is a big club, but it's better than Brentford, isn't it? If I say so. Brentford, when he was in Brentford, he has played like Mbemo, Ivan Toney, such players. But in Spurs, he doesn't have play. Maybe he doesn't have the team he wants. Spurs, I think Son leaving the team and Maddison not being in the team because of the ACL injury is a big blow for Spurs. Son's leadership, Son's just being on their pitch. We know Son is there. Now he's not. He's never gonna be there now. That is a big blow. It will take some time, maybe 1 or 2 seasons to recover. But I'd say for Thomas Frank going into the Premier League, do they have a chance in top 4? I would say so. They will. I don't think they will qualify for the top 4, but maybe they will qualify for the Europa League just because they have a pretty well-balanced squad, and just because they have signed Mohamed Kudus, and they are also in for signing Eze. I think if they sign these 2 players, maybe they will qualify for the Europa League. Top 4 is gonna be something they have to work on extraordinarily well. I don't think they are gonna qualify for the top 4. In case of PSG, they obviously will win League, and that's for sure. But in case of Champions League, if case of Luis Enrique going into another Champions League, will they win it? I can't say it's the same thing, because when you do something for an entire season, all the teams know it. So did Chelsea. They knew the play from PSG. They tactically blocked PSG's way through the trophy. tactically they blocked that way. Enzo Maresca tactically did that. So now Barcelona, Real Madrid, all these big teams, they know what does PSG do. So if Luis Enrique wants to go into another Champions League as a title, contenders, he has to do something different. He can't come with the same strategy of playing high line and playing very high pressing football, that eventually that high pressing results in something bad for your team. It was almost yesterday, Spurs almost won the game. It's somehow PSG did it, but in case of other teams, big teams, they will know how to crack that code, and when they crack that code, PSG will be absolutely demolished everywhere. So they need to bring a new strategy, a new tactical, uh, adjustment to the team, because they have a team that is extraordinarily well. And going into the next season, I think PSG will be title contenders, because Luis Enrique, I love Luis Enrique for his managerial strength in any of the countries he has done it. Another thing I would say before ending the video is that Luis Enrique can get that same team together. They have been the quietest team in the transfer window, summer transfer window. Every team has been doing something. They have done nothing in the summer transfer window. They just have signed that goalkeeper, nothing else, because they don't need to. They have players like Due, they have Barcola, they have Gonzalo Ramos, at proper striker up front. I rate Gonzalo Ramos very high. They have Dembele, they have Lee Kang in the midfield, rated very high. They have Vitinha, James, and Fabian Ruiz. They have William Pacho, very good. Marquinhos, the club legend, and then no Gianluigi Donnarumma. But again, I think the Chevalier is a good goalkeeper. It will take some time to replace him, but I think PSG will go into title contenders next season. Thank you. Again, I don't